Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the reading of Teachings of Queen Kunti by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. And this is Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devi Dasi, and we're starting chapter 17, entitled Lightening the Burden of the World. Bharavatara-nayan-ye bhuvo-nava ivo dadhau Sidantya bhuri bharina jato yatma bhuvarthitah. Others say that the world, being overburdened like a boat at sea, is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.34. Purport. Brahma is directly the son of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Father, and was not put into the womb of a mother. Therefore, he is known as Atma Bhu. This Brahma is in charge of further creations in the universe, secondarily reflected by the potency of the Omnipotent. Within the halo of the universe, there is a transcendental planet known as Shveta Dvipa, which is the abode of the Kshiradakashai Vishnu, the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Lord. Whenever there is trouble in the universe that cannot be solved by the administrative demigods, they approach Brahmaji for a solution. And if it is not to be solved even by Brahmaji, then Brahmaji consults with and prays to the Kshiradakashai Vishnu for an incarnation and solution to the problems. Such a problem arose when Kamsa and others were ruling over the earth, and the earth became too much overburdened by the misdeeds of the Asuras. Brahmaji, along with other demigods, prayed at the shore of the Kshiradaka ocean, and they were advised of the descent of Krishna as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So some people say that the Lord appeared because of the prayers of Brahmaji. Kunti Devi is describing the different statements of different persons about why Krishna appears. Some say that he appears at the request of Vasudeva and Devaki, and some say he appears at the request of Brahma. Bharavatara-nananye bhuvo-nava ivo dadhau. Quote, some say that he appeared just to reduce the burden of the world, which was overburdened like a boat at sea. Unquote. When the world is overburdened, there must be war, pestilence, famine, epidemics, and so on. This is nature's law. The earth floats in space among many millions of other planets, all of them bearing huge mountains and oceans. It floats because Krishna enters into it, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Gamma Vishya, just as he enters the atom. The earth is certainly not weightless, rather it is very heavy, but it floats because the Supreme Spirit is within it. Everything is lightened by the presence of Spirit. One's body will float in water as long as one is alive, but as soon as the spirit soul leaves, the body immediately sinks. As long as a child is alive, we can take it along by one hand, but when the child is dead, it is heavy. So now we are heavy, but when we are spiritually advanced, we will be free from impediments. Now we cannot fly in the air, but the spirit soul is so light that when freed from the body, it can go within a second to Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual world. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti. Jai. Why then does the world become overloaded? It becomes overloaded due to the presence of demons, those who are against devotional service. When Mother Earth feels this load to be too heavy, Krishna comes just to unburden the earth. If a ship is overloaded, its position is very dangerous, for it may sink at any moment. Therefore, when Mother Earth felt too uncomfortable because of being overloaded with demons, Sidantya Bhuri Bharina, she approached Brahma, the chief living being within this universe. When there is a need, the chief personalities in the universe approach Brahma, who approaches Vishnu to ask that he reduce whatever the burden is. Then Vishnu, or Krishna, appears as an incarnation, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijam yaham. Quote, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and the predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Unquote. When there is too much lawlessness and there are too many criminals, the state becomes overburdened and disturbed, and the state administrators are puzzled about what to do. Similarly, when the world is overrun by demons and atheists, they create a burden, and the demigods, the pious administrators of the universe, become perplexed. When the people of a state abide by the law, administration is easy. But if people are criminals, they overburden the state administrators. A similar situation sometimes upsets the balance of the cosmic affairs of this material world. Both the demons and the demigods always exist. But when the demoniac power increases, the world is overburdened. It is then that the demigods approach Lord Brahma for assistance. Lord Brahma is one of the 12 authorities known as Dvadasha Mahajana. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kaumara Kapilo Manu Pralado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vyasakir Vayam. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.20. We have to follow the Mahajanas, the great authorities, if we want to receive transcendental knowledge. The Vedic injunction is Tadvigyanartam Sagurum Eva Bhigached. If one wants to be in knowledge of everything, one must approach a guru, a bona fide authority, a spiritual master. The original guru is Krishna. As Krishna taught Arjuna, he also taught Brahma, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes the original source of the creation, and this should be the actual subject matter of our research work. What is the original source of creation? Janmadyasya yataha. The original source of everything is the source of Janma, Sthiti and Pralaya, creation, maintenance and dissolution. Our body has taken birth at a certain date. It lasts for some years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, or whatever, according to the body, and then it will be finished. Where did this body come from? And when it is destroyed, where will it go? There are scientific laws concerning the conservation of energy. What is the source of that energy? There is a source. Yatova imani bhutani jayante. And that source is identified in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That source is not blind. Rascals think that everything has come from nothing. But how can something come out of nothing? There is no proof that such a thing happens, but fools claim that it does, and therefore they are blind. What is the nature of the original source from whom everything has come, in whom everything exists, and within whom everything will enter? The Bhagavatam 1.1.1 says, Janmadyasya yatonvayad itarataschaर्थेष्वभिज्ञा. The word abhigya indicates that the source of everything is completely conscious. The word gya means knowledge, and abhi means specific. We have inadequate knowledge of where we have come from and where we shall go after death, and therefore we are not abhigya, supremely conscious. But the Supreme Source is abhigya. He is not a stone or a void. How could he be? The creation itself is evidence of the consciousness of the Supreme. Everyone can appreciate the cosmic manifestation and how nicely it is working. The sun and moon rise exactly on time, without deviating even 1/10,000th of a second, and the seasons change in the same way, bringing with them fruits and flowers. In this way, the entire cosmic manifestation is going on in a very orderly, systematic way. So unless there is some abhigya, some very clever intelligence who knows everything, how could all this have been created? Some people say that all this has come from nothing. What is this nonsense? Can such a creation come from nothing? Does this idea show very good reasoning? The Bhagavatam says no. The Bhagavatam tells us that everything comes from the person who is abhigya, very intelligent and experienced, and that original intelligent person transmitted knowledge to Adi Kavi, the original created being, Lord Brahma. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Brahma, the original created being, has an original source, and he is in contact with that source. We understand that we get knowledge from another person with whom we are face to face or screen to screen. But when Brahma was created, he was alone. Therefore, how did he receive knowledge? That is explained in the Bhagavatam. Tene Brahma Hrida. The word Hrida means through the heart. The Supreme Person, Paramatma, is within the heart of every living being, including Brahma. Therefore, although Brahma was alone, he received knowledge dictated by the Supreme. The word Brahma means knowledge, Vedic knowledge. Thus, the Vedic knowledge was first given to Lord Brahma. The Vedic knowledge is given to everyone because Krishna is within everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta. But one must be qualified to receive that knowledge. Krishna helps us by giving us knowledge both from within as the Supersoul, Chaitya Guru, and from without as the spiritual master. Brahma receives knowledge from Krishna and distributes that Vedic knowledge, and therefore he is an authority. There are 4 sampradayas, or chains of disciplic succession, through which Vedic knowledge is distributed. 1 from Brahma, 1 from Lakshmi, 1 from Lord Shiva, and 1 from the 4 Kumaras. We have to approach an authoritative representative of Krishna, appearing in one of these sampradayas, and then we can receive real knowledge. Thus, the earth personified approached Brahma, who prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Quote, "The world is now overburdened with demons, and therefore I request you to appear." Unquote. Some say therefore that the Lord appeared at the request of Brahma, that he lightened the burden of the world. When Krishna appears, he protects the devotees and kills the demons. Therefore Krishna in his Narayana form has 4 hands. In 2 hands he holds a disc and a club with which to kill the demons. And in the other 2 hands he holds the conch shell and lotus with which to bless and protect the devotees. The Lord says, "Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati." Thus Krishna bugles with his conch shell, "My devotees will never be vanquished." Haribol. And with the lotus flower he extends his blessings. The lotus flower, which sometimes also appears in the hand of Lakshmi, is a symbol of blessings. Now, some say that Krishna appears for this purpose or that purpose, but the real conclusion is that Krishna appears for his own pleasure, not because he is bound by any other cause. We take our birth because we are bound by our karma, but Krishna, being fully independent, does not come because of someone else's request or because of karma. Rather, he comes by his own free will, Atma Mayaya. We are compelled to take birth because of Krishna's external material energy, but Krishna is not controlled by the Maya or energy of anyone else, and therefore he does not take birth in such a condition. Maya, the illusory energy, is under the control of Krishna, so how could Maya control him? One who thinks that Krishna, like us, is controlled by Maya is described in Bhagavad Gita as Mudha, a fool. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. Krishna is the original Narayana, the original source of the entire cosmic manifestation. Brahma, or the first living being born just after the creation, is the direct son of Narayana, who as Garbhatakashaya Vishnu first created the material universe. Without spiritual contact, matter cannot create. Those who are seeking the original cause of the material creation should know that the creation takes place when the spirit soul is present. Matter is activated by the spirit soul. It is not that the soul is created by matter. According to the Buddhist theory, the living force, the living energy we all have, is created by material conditions. At the present moment, the entire world is influenced by this Buddhist theory. The actual fact, however, is that matter develops because of the presence of the living force. We can understand this very easily. After a child is born, he grows and his body develops. But if the child is born dead, if the spirit soul is not present, the body will not develop. Therefore, the spirit is the basis for the development of matter, and not vice versa. Why does a dead child not grow? Because the spirit is not present. A tree grows as long as there is life in it. If we sow the small seed of a banyan tree in good soil and favor it with water, it will grow because the spirit soul is present. But if we were to fry such a seed in fire and then sow it, it would fail to grow because the spirit soul would not be there. This is an excellent analogy to describe this point. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Matter grows and develops because of the presence of the spirit soul. And this principle has been followed from the very beginning of the creation. At the beginning of creation, the Supreme Spirit entered the universe, and the first living being, Brahma, was born on a lotus flower grown from the transcendental abdomen of Vishnu. Accepting that the lotus on which Brahma was born is matter, we should understand that it is also grown from spirit. Therefore, spirit is the basis of creation. Because the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is born is grown from the navel of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu is known as Padmanabha. Brahma is known as Atma Bhu because he was begotten directly from the father, Narayana or Vishnu, without the contact of mother Lakshmi Ji. Lakshmi Ji was present near Narayana, engaged in the service of the Lord. But still, without contact with Lakshmi Ji, Narayana begot Brahma. That is the omnipotency of the Lord. When we want to beget a child, we need the help of a wife because we cannot beget a child alone. But Krishna, Lord Vishnu, produced Lord Brahma without the help of his wife, Lakshmi, although she was present, because he is not dependent on anything. One who foolishly considers Narayana to be like other living beings should take a lesson from this. The Vedic literature forbids one to think that other living beings are on an equal level with Narayana. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivata. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivatai Samatvenaiva Viksheta Sapashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. Someone has invented the word Daridra Narayana, trying to show that Narayana has become poor and that the beggar who comes to my door to beg is also Narayana. This is not authorized in the Vedic literature. Narayana is the master of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, and only fools think that somehow he becomes poverty-stricken. Rascals say that Narayana, Brahma, Shiva, all the demigods, you and I and everyone else are on the same level. This is foolishness. Narayana is Asamardva. This means that no one can be equal to or greater than him. Therefore, Krishna himself, the original Narayana, says in Bhagavad Gita, Matah parataram nanyat. There is no one superior to me, nor is anyone equal to him. The word asama means no one is equal to him, and anurdva means no one is greater than him. This is the position of the Lord. Narayana is not an ordinary living being. He is the personality of Godhead, himself, and he has all the potencies of all the senses in all parts of his transcendental body. An ordinary living being begets a child by sexual intercourse and has no other means to beget a child than the one designed for him. But Narayana is all-powerful, and therefore he can beget a child from his navel. Every part of his body has full potency, as explained in the Brahma Samhita 5.32. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. For example, I can see with my eyes, but Krishna can also eat with his eyes. Foolish rascals will say, "You are offering food to Krishna, but what he has eaten, what has he eaten? It is still there. He has not eaten anything." Such people do not know that Krishna can eat just by seeing, for he can do anything with any part of his transcendental body. When a washerman refused to supply clothes to Krishna in Madhura, Lord Krishna displayed his transcendental potency by cutting off the man's head with his hand. How was this possible? It was possible by the Lord's omnipotence. The Lord is complete and independent to do anything and everything by his various potencies. This is explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam by the words Abhigya Swarat. The word Swarat indicates that he is self-sufficient, not dependent on anyone. That is the qualification of God. Nowadays there are so many self-proclaimed incarnations of God, but as soon as they have some toothache, they immediately say, "Oh, doctor, help me, save me." If you are God, save yourself. Wow. Why go to a doctor? Such people are rascals, and they make it very difficult to spread Krishna consciousness. The whole world is now overburdened by such rascals and demons, and therefore the atom bomb is waiting for them by the will of the Supreme. Hare Krishna. Okay, yes. Overburdened. So now, having been living in the second year of the pandemic, we now understand why everything is going on. It is going on because the demons, rascals, and atheists have overburdened the world, and everyone suffers because of that.